Hey, I'm Patrick. I'm a shedder. I'll talk a bit more about shedders later. Although about 3 or 4 times today, I've had people say, "Excuse me, are you the shed man?" But there can be shed mothers as well, and there's a very famous one over in Kent. Thanks for the opportunity today to talk to you about men's sheds. I think if we had 2 men's sheds here in Guernsey, it could help Guernsey become the happiest country on earth, and I hope to explain how. Now, I run the men's shed in Frome in Somerset, and the shed's been open for 2 years. We have 60 members with 20 shedders coming every week. I'm also the UK Men's Shed Association Administrator and have answered some 5,000 inquiries from shedders and supporters over the last 2 years. About a third of those calls, quarter of those calls, are like this one, which came in last week. Hello. It's an email. Hello, I'm writing on behalf of my father, who is 85 and very low in mood. He's a very sociable man, but spends all day with my mother, who has dementia. I've been advised by a member of the proactive care team about your organisation and hope there's a men's shed close by. And we get hundreds of these kind of inquiries. I'm training an administrator to replace me because I'm going away for a few weeks. And during the first day, she was in tears over 2 calls that we got in along those kind of lines. But there's a founder of a well-known men's shed in the South Coast who always starts his talks like this. He says, 3 months after launching my men's shed, I visited my psychiatrist. He said I was suffering from anxiety, which he thought was a great improvement over the depression I was suffering from when I last met 6 months previously. Yeah. Now, I don't suffer from either, although I'm quite anxious at the moment, but there you go. I know that men's sheds make people happier and healthier, and this isn't just the people who go to the shed, the shedders. So briefly, what's a men's shed? It's like a big version of a typical garden shed, but for a group of people. It offers a workspace where older people can work together on practical projects with others. It's got tools and materials which are generously donated by the public and businesses. I don't think the Frome shed has ever bought a tool or a piece of equipment. It gets donated. It's run by members who decide when they come and what they do, and this is an important part of the process. They undertake projects which are benefits to themselves, others in the broader community, but learning and skill sharing is critically important. So here's some shedders. These are happy shedders from the Frome shed. A famous photograph. In fact, I got an email this morning with a poster with that photograph in, launching a shed in Surrey. And this is the workshop. You'll see at least 4 people sat down doing nothing, which is a really important part of the shed. We reckon 20% of the 20% productivity in terms of doing stuff. And there's about 350 sheds open across the UK, 80 or so in planning, with 2 or 3 new ones opening every week. So that's about 7,000 or 8,000 people who benefit every week. And by the way, 30% of all men's sheds have women regularly attending, and 20% of sheds are run by women. So it could be that Guernsey will have a shed mother, not a shed man. Okay, more happy shedders. This is, you see the teacup in the front there? They say the most important tool in the shed is the kettle. Okay, now the health of many shedders generally benefits from attending the shed. It reduces isolation and provides a sense of identity, and it improves self-esteem and value. It supports people to get back to work. It provides opportunities for men to share experiences regarding their health, which, for the ladies in the room, believe me, men share experiences about their health in this environment. You know, comparing scars, you call that an aneurysm scar? That's an aneurysm scar. And it also provides a venue to provide health education. So we get people coming in to talk about health matters. And if you're a shedder and you're interested, you talk to them, and if you're not, you don't. Equally important is the sharing of skills, which is unbelievable. The learning of new skills. YouTube, the number of people who've learned YouTube to pick up new skills is amazing. And in the satisfaction of making and repairing items for themselves, the people in the community. But typically, men find it, older men especially, find it harder to talk to others on personal issues face to face. And it's different when they're working together. We always say men don't talk face-to-face. They don't like to talk face-to-face, but they do like to talk shoulder-to-shoulder. The head of the Irish Men's Shed always tells this story. It says, you put 12 men over 55 in a room and say, please talk to yourself about each other, about your lives, your relationships, and your health. 6 will leave the room immediately, and many of the remainder will sit around the walls. But if you throw a lawnmower in there, broken lawnmower, and say, hey, guys, fix that, within 2 hours, you'll have achieved your objectives. Plus, they'll also know each other's skills and aspirations. And, of course, there's another plus. You've got a fixed lawnmower. I mean, you can access online the academic studies into physical and mental health benefits of men's sheds. But in Australia, where they're about 3 or 4 years ahead of us, in terms of men's shed, they have 900 sheds open, and they get £2 million a year on the basis of the savings made in suicide prevention in older men. And in the UK, 3/4 of the people who kill themselves are men. It's the biggest single cause of death in men under 45. And in fact, on average, 12 men kill themselves every single day. But anyway, magic with a men's shed. You put a sign up saying men's health centre, men won't come. But if you put up a sign that says men's learning centre, they won't come. You put up a sign that says men's shed, and then they will come, and then the magic begins. There are men's sheds in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Ireland, UK, Finland, and Denmark. And with Denmark being currently the happiest country in the world, despite our Danish friend saying that he doubted it, but they have men's sheds, and they're called, and apologies to any Danish people here, men's mørsteder, and that's their logo, and their motto is "Her stør man skulder ved skulder." Anybody want to guess what skulder ved skulder means? Shoulder to shoulder, exactly. But it's not just shedders who benefit. Most men's sheds undertake a large number of projects for other charities and groups in the community. We always have 3 or 4 community projects going. In Frome, we've got 4 right now. We're making Christmas scenery for a primary school. We're putting bug hotels for the town councils, planters for a care home, and insulating a storage shed for a lady who has a real tough time throwing things away. But here's some happy people. This is the little girl, Florence. She had cerebral palsy. She wanted a deck chair to relax in her garden. So 2 shedders made this from scratch. But you see it's inside because she insists on bringing it in every evening to watch Peppa Pig on TV. This is a group called Open Storytellers. They are a charity that work with adults with learning and communication difficulties. The Frome Shed made them a new bardic chair, which you can see the gentleman in yellow sat on, for their annual storytelling competition, and this is the group taking delivery of the chair. And next Thursday, they have the 2nd annual competition, and the chair is still going to be there, apparently. The lad on the left here is from Critchell School, which is a school for 4 to 19-year-olds with special educational needs. Now, Frome Town Council asked us if we could make 30 bird boxes, bat roosts, and bug hotels. What we did, we made the kits up, and then we worked with the pupils from the school to put them together. And this lad turned out into an expert in putting together the bat roosts. And you can see how proud he is of his work. I mean, his teachers were so impressed, as he usually didn't engage in projects at all. And he really loved making the bat roosts. And you can see the shedders on the other side are also pretty pleased with themselves as well. And last we have Carol in the blue, which is the stall we refurbished for her. It used to belong to her father and was a much-loved heirloom. The shedder on the left in a pink T-shirt is Dan. Dan's a character. He lives about 7 miles from Frome, and he was so impressed with the the Frome Shed, he decided to open one in his own hometown of Westbury. He was with us from about June last year, and he opened his shed last month. And the opening ceremony was brilliant. The mayor turned up with a pair of scissors, expecting to cut through a red ribbon. And what Dan did was he put a chain across the entrance to the shed and gave the mayor a pair of bolt cutters to cut through. But by the way, we never compete with local businesses, and we don't say this is how much it's going to cost. We ask for donations, and people are very generous. Okay, you've seen some happy shedders already, but men's shed also help people return to work. Here's 3 stories. Now, this is Matt. Matt came to the shed on the recommendations of his GP. He'd been signed off work with stress-related issues. He had no DIY skills at all. The first thing he worked on was this table. You can see a broken leg and a broken lid. It was his card table his grandfather had taught him to play cards on when he was a young boy. Now, he kept it in the loft until after his grandfather died, and he fixed it. The shedders helped him with the music box. But the look on his face when he played that music box for the first time after 35 years was absolutely priceless. And he went on to work on all kinds of personal community projects, and he developed enough skill to convert his garage into a playroom for his kids. He was also very good at explaining his troubles. So he used to say things like, just because I'm laughing, it doesn't mean I'm not suffering from depression. And he often used to say, it's only when I'm in the shed that I don't constantly internalize my stress. Anyway, he'd been to the shed every week for 5 months, and he came to see me and said, I've got some bad news, Patrick. I've been signed back to work. He said, but don't worry, I'm only going back 4 days a week, so I can still come to the shed. But then 2 months later, he's returned to work full-time, and we miss him. Steve, slightly different. He signed off work following 2 strokes. Big change for him was his readiness to take advice on techniques from other shedders and not be frustrated at his lack of ability to do things. He's made a 3-string cigar box guitar, nearly finished, from scratch, and he's back at work. And we miss Steve too. But sheds can also help with people with very complex issues to integrate socially and increase their self-esteem. This is Tim. Now, Tim came to the shed on the advice of his NHS advisor, suffers from poor health, is quite heavily medicated, and has rarely left his house in 15 years. He's restored an easel which we sold for shed funds, and he's also made his mother a bird box, which you can see him posing with there. Not as much progress as with Matt and Steve, but he's been with us for 3 months. And some progress, he'll make his own cup of tea now. He takes his woolly hat off when he comes in the shed. This is a major step forward, but the big thing is he will ask shedders for help. He'll ask shedders he's not been introduced to for help, which is a major step forward. His advisor is absolutely chuffed with his progress. But we also do intergenerational stuff as well, and most sheds do work with younger people. So here's a case here where we have an IT guy comes in and helps us old guys with smartphones and tablets and YouTube and stuff like this. And he's running his own business, but it's good for him because he gets experience. But we had a really interesting visit from a young Danish student just recently, a young girl, perfect English, but had only been in the country for 1 week. And she came into the shed with a set of chisels. She said, I want them sharpened, please. Can you do that? And I said, yeah. So we got one of our oldest shedders, who's 83, 84, and a younger one, lad in his late 60s. And after about an hour, they sharpened all the chisels, and I went to see how they got on. And she said, I'm really confused. She said, these 2 people seem to really like each other, but they spent the entire last hour almost constantly insulting each other. And we said, no, that's we call that banter, and we explained what banter was. And she said, I understand. She said, it's the way men of a certain age in your country show their love for each other. Well, our 83-year-old carpenter said, no, it's not like that at all, he said. Anyway, look, you've heard about the work with schools. In Ireland, there's a programme, I believe you have some here, called Buddy Benches. If you've not come across them, it's where you put a colourful bench in a primary school, and kids who sit on it indicate that they want to play with somebody, they've got a problem or they need some help, and other children are encouraged to sit with them. In Ireland, every men's shed is hoping to build a buddy bench for their local primary school. So there's all kinds of opportunities to engage. Now, there's also, one of the things that's really lucky is we can share experiences across sheds. So for us, we have a shed near us that does specialist clock repair. One of our local sheds in Wincanton does all the metalwork. So if we've got a metalwork problem, we ship it off to Wincanton and vice versa. But the real plus is any shed worldwide can walk into any shed, as did the gentleman on the left there with the beard. He walks in with his Australian men's shed hat on and says, "Good day, can I have a cup of tea?" And bizarrely, this was just a few weeks ago, it was, now what was his name? John, on the left with the beard. He came from Melbourne, from the Goulburn shed, and he walked in and asked for a cup of tea. 20 minutes later, Dan there in the white shirt, next door to Steve, was visiting from Wellington, New Zealand. But you get so much, they were on holiday visiting, but you can visit any shed and just walk in and say, "Hi, how's it going?" Okay, nearly done. I'm on the Isle of Wight now. They have 4 men's sheds open. And in Cowes, Shanklin, Ryde and Newport, it has just double the population of Guernsey. So you guys should have 2 sheds anyway. But you can see from their logo, which is their logo there with 4 shedders laughing in a shed, and it's obvious what they're aiming at too. But what's really interesting about the Isle of Wight is that all 4 of these men's sheds have been pioneered by just one individual, a lady called Lois Pryor. I've never met her, I've never spoken to her. I've only exchanged emails with her. I see her next week because she's coming to our conference in Birmingham. And I'm sure that if you asked her, she'd say, "Yeah, I got loads of support and lots of other people helped me." And I'm sure she did. But wouldn't it be brilliant if somebody in Guernsey, if we could get someone in Guernsey to do that and have 2 or more sheds open in Guernsey in the next 2 years? It's not a big deal from a financial viewpoint. It's just a question of getting it done. What we need is somebody inspirational to step up to the challenge and take the lead. I mean, all you need is enthusiasm, persistence, and patience in equal quantities, enthusiasm being the most important. So if anybody feels they might like to take the lead on that, then do stop me at the next break or come to the after party and engage with me. That would be very helpful. So what I would urge is let's get some community shedders together to share skills, learn new skills, and help others in the community. 2 shedders here puzzling over a problem on angel wings, which is fairly opportune, really, but there you go. But most importantly is to have some fun and help make Guernsey the happiest country in the world. Thank you very much indeed.